Viv Groskop, it's really exciting to talk to you today. Thank you for taking the time and joining us for SHECAN. Tell us a little about yourself and what you do.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, and I couldn't be more behind this message of SHECAN. It's really in alignment with everything that I do in my work. I'm a writer, comedian, and I'm the host of the podcast How to Own the Room, which is also a best-selling book. And the proposition behind How to Own the Room is about really bringing that message of she can, you can, we all can to public speaking. And it's something that's really close to my heart. I started out in stand-up comedy about 10 years ago in my mid-30s with 3 children under the age of 5. And I really, although I knew it was something I really wanted to do, I really spent a lot of time thinking to myself in my head, you can't. And it held me back, that mindset part of things, you know, that self-doubt really held me back for a long time. And then after a while, something just really clicked, and I, through experience and through practice and failure, something really clicked, and I really wanted to share that message with other people through the podcast. So on the podcast, How to Own the Room, we interview dozens of women from all different industries and backgrounds about their experience in public speaking, performance, and confidence.
I love that podcast. It's so great. Every single one of them. And you've published so many books, and you've just published another one, right? Or another one is coming out. Tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are today.
I started out as a journalist. So through my 20s and early 30s, I was a freelance writer on papers like The Guardian, The Observer, The Financial Times. I wrote for a lot of magazines. I'm a Russian speaker, so I was a contributing editor at Russian Vogue for 10 years. And that was a really, really great experience at that time in my life when I was raising young children and I wanted my own business and I wanted to make my own hours. But as my children started growing up and I hit my mid-30s, I really began to get kind of itchy and think about the things that I really wanted to do with my life. I guess when I had 40 on the horizon, now I've got 50 on the horizon, you know, we all have these milestones that we think, oh, have I really done what I wanted to do with my life? And it was at that moment that I began to think more about how much I love being in front of an audience, how much I love sharing stories with people. And all of that led to me doing comedy and eventually more podcasting and broadcasting. And what I love is just opening up this conversation. I think that we're at a unique time in history where most of us have the freedom to choose what we do with our lives, and we're very lucky to have that, and to keep up to date with how we're feeling about ourselves, where our confidence is at, the skills that we need, and not getting bogged down in some of these negative messages that we've all grown up with of, oh, you have to be this kind of person to do this, or you can only perform if you're really confident or charismatic, or maybe you shouldn't volunteer to do this thing if you don't already know how to do it. And what I love about the new breed of podcasters and writers and influencers around is that they're breaking down all of these myths and showing that these things are really quite simple, and all you have to do is give yourself permission to do them.
I think that's so true. And I think that many women still have to give themselves this permission to really go for it. Viv, thank you for sharing that. I mean, you've answered this already a little bit, but I'm wondering what motivates you and what motivates you going forwards to push even harder?
Yeah, that's such a great question, especially during this pandemic year when finding motivation, I think, has been very difficult, because I'm often motivated by, oh, in 6 months' time I can do this, or next year I can do this, or I can plan for this thing, and it's been so difficult to plan. So often I'm very motivated by the idea of vision and thinking ahead into the future. But I think in this pandemic time, I've really been thinking back to the influences in my past, and in particular to my grandmother, Vera, which is also the name of my daughter. My grandmother was very influential in my upbringing. I saw her pretty much every day of my life until I was 18, when I left home to go to university. And she was somebody who didn't really have the education that she would have wanted to have. She didn't really have the career that she would have wanted. She was fiercely intelligent and bright, and she gave me a lot of confidence and belief in myself. And whenever I feel that I need a bit of inspiration and I need to get my mojo back, I think about her and think, I'm so lucky to have the opportunities that I have. I'm so lucky to live in the era that I live in. And I just remember that she didn't have that, and that it's up to me to honor that truth.
That's lovely. Yeah, it's. I think we can learn so much from the women that came before us, even though they didn't have the same opportunities. Viv, what do you think is your superpower? What makes you so successful in what you do? And you're hugely inspiring. You know, what is it that you have?
Oh, thank you. I often don't feel that way about myself. I recently interviewed a really fascinating woman called Dame Stephanie Shirley, who's a brilliant entrepreneur who started out in the 1960s. She recently gave a TED talk about her experiences running a business in IT in the 60s, 70s and 80s, when she was one of the only women. And she said that her superpower is that she has a lot of energy. And when you have energy, it gives people trust and confidence in you. And that really unlocked something for me, because I'm somebody who has a lot of energy. I have to make sure that I channel it carefully, that I rest enough to use my energy at the right time and in the right place. But I'm somebody who has a lot of energy, and I do think that it does inspire trust in other people. When you have energy, people think that you know where you're going. I don't always know where I'm going, but I know that I have a lot of passion, energy and enthusiasm behind it. So I think if you can make sure that you rest enough, that you check in with yourself enough, that you have a sense of humor about your life and don't take yourself too seriously, then that's a way of conserving your energy, and you can really use it for the things that you want to use it for.
Oh, thank you for sharing that, Viv. That's very important, I think. What would your tips be for other women, sort of your top tips?
A top tip for confidence and presentation is really about learning that we are too much in our heads. And this is maybe also something that transfers to life as well as presentation and performance moments. A lot of the time, we're very caught up in the chatter in our minds. We can get hijacked by those inner gremlins, by self-doubt, by insecurity, by thinking, oh, I don't have enough experience to do this, or I haven't prepared enough, or I don't know what I'm doing. And these are all very cerebral, intellectual messages that we're constantly telling ourselves. We get very caught up in this negative thinking. And the key for confidence and making other people feel relaxed around you is to be grounded in your body. So immediately think, where is my breath? Where is my energy in my body? Where is my physical presence? Where are my feet? Are your feet properly grounded? And remembering that you are a presence, you're not just like a floating brain that is communicating with people. We're constantly sending messages with our bodies. So being more grounded into your body, allowing yourself to breathe and relax and not thinking so much, allowing yourself to feel more than you think. And that allows you to take your focus away from yourself and onto other people. So this is a great tip for performance and for life, is try and take the focus off of yourself and onto other people. What do they need? What can you bring to them? What have you come to share? And not only does it make you less nervous, it actually makes you better able to connect with other people, because they're not there to judge you. They're there to get something for themselves. So remembering to keep the focus off of yourself and keep it on others.
I love that, Viv. I heard that also in one of your podcasts. Remember your feet. And I think
I'm always going on about feet. It was a big game changer for me when I was performing a lot. When I was doing comedy, I did 100 gigs in 100 consecutive nights 10 years ago. It was a real kind of baptism of fire. And what I learned halfway through that, when you're exhausted as well, you need to find new reserves of energy. And if you always have this very quick and easy thing you can think of, like, where are my feet? Am I grounded? Do I feel a connection to this place where I'm standing? It automatically takes you out of your head. And it's just such an easy, quick tip to remember.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Viv, last question. Where do you see yourself in the future, 5 years time? What dreams do you have?
That's such a good question, and I find it really difficult to answer. A year ago, if you'd have asked me before the pandemic, there are a million things I could have told you. But this year has changed a lot for me, and I feel much more open and flexible to what's going to happen in the future now. And I'm trying not to plan any more than sometimes one day ahead. I was going to say 1 week or 1 month, but sometimes it's 1 day or 1 hour. So I hope I will continue to champion women and performance. It's my obsession. We've got the 100th episode of the podcast coming up. We're going to hopefully hit 1 million downloads by the end of this year. So that will always be my passion. And I make all of the podcasts with a view to people listening to them in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years time, so that there will always be a place where you can hear brilliant women speakers like Hillary Clinton, Margaret Atwood, Anne-Marie Imafidon, Nadia Hussein, Nigella Lawson, people from all different fields, talking about what they've learned. And the podcast House in the Room is the place where you can always find that. So I'll definitely continue to build that. But the one thing I've learned over the last year is that nothing is certain there. And that's not a bad thing, because there are always new possibilities. So I'll always be exploring new and fresh things.